The absolute greed in video games truly knows no bounds. It really is just something that is incredibly sickening to see every single day. Over and over again, all we notice as customers and consumers is watching as these multi-billion and trillion-dollar corporations do everything they can to poke, goatsy, and even squeeze into your wallet every single time and every single chance they absolutely get, trying to shove their greedy little fingers inside and squeeze out every red cent till they can pull back into their own coffers while holding you upside down by your ankles. And you can say to yourself, Alex, you're being hyperbolic. Games cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. Well, clearly that's not my problem. I want games that are good, I want games that are better, and I want them at a cheaper price every single time. Call me old-fashioned, call me entitled, but it in fact is true when I see indie games outperform, outpace, and give me the kind of experiences that I want to see, while every other AAA game is covered in $80 or $70 microtransaction slop. It really goes to show this industry has no clue what it in fact is doing. And it gets even worse. We've seen things like Nintendo introduce variable rate pricing and literally monetize your actual nostalgia. Just because they know a product is going to sell, or it's got the actual logo or a character that you are connected to as a child, they're going to jack up the price, basically Disneyfying the gaming industry, trying to go through and wring out every single dollar out of that pocket of yours. Xbox doing the exact same thing, going around and increasing the price of Game Pass, practically doubling its price while offering zero in value to you as an actual user for that service, while at the same time providing you with zero access to proper physical games because you have to install the game onto your system, giving you a literal coaster, pretty much game key cards for discs. And PlayStation introducing dynamic rate pricing, where depending upon whether you're signed in, your typical buying habits, and everything else across the board, it turns out that in other countries, they're going to go ahead and determine whether or not you'll be paying more for a game or less, depending upon those specific buying habits. It really has become one of the most insane things to see. And all these companies will turn around and call something like Valve an actual monopoly. What? A monopoly on providing good service for a customer, treating the actual user with respect in the gaming space? Really, what an absurd thing to say. But the thing is, though, the tides are in fact shifting, and it may be turning into a direction that people are not ready or expecting to move into. PlayStation and Nintendo may be doubling down on their actual idiocy of trying to squeeze out more money out of your pocket, but it looks like Xbox may be in fact taking a different turn, and where things might be going could definitely surprise you. Because according to Push Square, PS5's dynamic pricing disaster appears to extend to the United States now. Okay, all right, you know what? Oh God, these companies make me so incredibly angry. How is PlayStation going around and doubling down, tripling down on possibly the dumbest thing to do for any customer and consumer? So yeah, they're not going to raise the prices of their consoles due to the RAM crisis, but they sure as shit are going to try and over monetize every specific user. We've seen this kind of thing happen before. Usually what happens is a user that goes around and isn't part of PlayStation will normally get a cheaper price up front. Then when you sign in, they'll take a look at your buying habits, see what you're purchasing, see how things are going, and how much money you're willing to spend. What is your breaking point? What is a line you're willing to cross? And they have all that data, and they'll take that data and say, you know what, this game should cost this much money for this person. And the more insidious thing is that this is actually worse than what Nintendo is doing. It's going to be right at that threshold of pain, where it's just painful enough for you to feel the actual amount of you spending that money, but it's not so painful that you'll close your wallet up and never buy a single product. And they'll keep you at that line, teetering you on the edge and pushing you more into spending more every single time. This is the actual typical villainous behavior of dynamic pricing. And it gets even worse because now it's crossed over into the States. And this is where things get real wild. Sony's controversial new dynamic pricing appears to have rolled out in the US. While the practice originally seemed limited to a slew of regions in Europe, evidence is beginning to emerge of its implementation in the US specifically with the new spring sale. Deals account Cheap Ass Gamer notes that acclaimed platformer Astrobot is one such game struck by the variable pricing, as it shows $39.59 for some and $26.99 for others. As before, the dynamic pricing only affects the depth of the discount, so in each example above, you're still saving money on Astrobot's $59.99 MSRP. But depending on Sony's algorithm, for reasons not made public to consumers, you may be eligible for a worse discount than someone else. And that is exactly what PlayStation is in fact doing. Sure, you're getting a discount on the game. It's going to be great, right? 25%, 35%. Why not buy the product? But the thing is, they're using an algorithm to determine whether or not you get the better discount compared to somebody else. If you are, let's say, a power purchaser that would go around and buy lots of games, whether day one or even at a 15 to 20% discount, they're not going to give you anything greater than that. They're going to keep you in that space. This guy, clearly, is a clown. He'll buy anything we give them. Just go ahead and shove it in their face. They'll do it. Somebody who's new, though, who doesn't have a lot of money or a lot of games inside of PlayStation, they'll give the bigger discounts to, enticing that customer to continually pay over and over again. Oh, 70% off? Yeah, you'll buy that. Keep buying another one and another one and another one. And the more you purchase, the more data they have, thereby slowly increasing the price on you and reducing that discount that's applicable to those games, turning you into another actual patsy that they can milk on a consistent basis. Are you guys keeping count at home? That's one. And PlayStation will continue to do this to monetize every single user. Those small percentage changes that they can go ahead and apply to other people who are more than willing to spend that money is exactly how they're trying to over monetize you as an actual consumer, rather than giving you the proper respect and saying, hey, here's the discount for the game across the board. Enjoy it, buy it, you'll have a better time. And it clearly flies in the face of the one word that these companies are refusing to even acknowledge or produce for the literal user, and that is respect. When people say to me, Alex, you talk about Valve so much and so often, why do you do that? It's a Valve glazing channel now. Well, you know what? Tell me when Valve adds this kind of pricing, and when they do, I'll call them out for it. Tell me when a storefront like Steam literally tries to abuse you and disrespect you over and over again, simply because they want to extract more money out of your back pocket. See, these are the kinds of things that companies should take the pages of from Valve, instead of calling them a literal monopoly in this space, simply because they don't understand what the literal consumer actually wants and how to literally treat a customer in the first place. But it's not just PlayStation. No. See, it gets even worse. Apparently Nintendo is now trying something similar. Not the same, but damn close. According to Hazardor Gaming on Twitter, Nintendo has announced new pricing for Nintendo published digital games, with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book starting in May. Digital is $59.99 and physical is $69.99. Now, I know some of you are going to stop me and say, Alex, there's no way this is a bad thing. They're literally reducing the price on a digital good. Oh, contraire, mon frère, don't you worry. These companies are never trying to have your best interest. Reducing a game by $10 is not the respect you're actually looking for, especially for a digital good that has zero physical product, zero shipping, zero logistics, and they make all that money directly from that storefront. The thing is, even though this is a nice change, it has a far more insidious nature behind it, and I'm going to explain exactly why. because people are not seeing the forest from the trees when this kind of thing in fact is occurring. But let's take a look at Nintendo's statement and see what they had to say. Beginning in May of 2026 and starting with pre-orders for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, new Nintendo published digital titles exclusive to the Switch 2 will have an MSRP that is different from physical versions. Nintendo games offer the same experiences, whether in packaged or digital format, and this change simply reflects the different costs associated with producing and distributing each format and offers players more choice in how they can buy and play Nintendo games. As always, retail partners set their own prices for physical games, and pricing for each title may vary. This is incredibly interesting. Did you see the part where they said they offer the same experiences, whether digital or physical, and all they're doing is just offsetting the cost of the physical product? No, they're lying to you. $10 is not the actual difference between printing a cart and shipping it out to you and getting something digital. They know it, I know it, you know it. Everybody knows it. What Nintendo is doing is actually far more insidious than you could actually imagine. You see, they pioneered and pushed video game key cards, where you have the key card itself physically, but then you download the game, basically just making the entire thing completely useless across the board, having no real reason to have a key card in the first place. That was step one: minimize physicality and push towards digital. Here is in fact step 2. What Nintendo is now doing is lowering the price of digital while keeping the price of physical in fact high as the MSRP, or manufacturer suggested retail price. Like they said before, physical retailers can reduce the price of those games if they want to, but the MSRP is what Nintendo suggests the game should be costing upfront out the door. And here's exactly how this is going to play out. You see, they couldn't do it with game keycards, so they're doing it now with digital games instead. And think of it from this perspective. If they lower the price from digital by $10, more people are going to be inclined to buy a digital good, which means physical sales of games will in fact reduce, increasing more sales on digital copies, giving more money to Nintendo directly. Seems okay so far, right? But here's the kicker. Most companies will take a look at this and say, well, hey, hold on. The majority of our games are being bought digitally, not physically. So why do we keep making digital copies in the first place? Basically supplementing what, 1% or even less of that literal user base that buys physical games. Why don't we just stop doing physical altogether, go ahead and keep people on digital, have them stuck in our storefront completely, not able to go anywhere else, building their digital library and making them far more sticky in the situation, and then raise the price of digital again back onto them, or use the variable rate pricing technique that Nintendo has always been so incredibly fond of in the first place. This may seem like a good thing on the surface, and clearly it is. Reducing the cost of games by $10 is in fact great. The problem though is we're looking at it from a different perspective. We're basically saying this: if you go ahead and raise the price to $70, then raise the price again to $80 with variable rate pricing, that means these games should have always cost $60 from the very beginning. What was the point of the price increases in the first place? Do not let these companies put you over a barrel simply because they dropped the price by $10 when it was always supposed to be $49.99 in the first place, especially with the amount of volume that these games in fact sell in the tens of millions of units. Literally, Nintendo can afford to respect you a little bit more. But you see, speaking about respect, it turns out that there have been some really big, massive changes going on at Xbox and even Microsoft, and it looks like things may in fact possibly be changing for the better. And what's even crazier is watching companies like PlayStation and even Nintendo do the opposite of what Xbox is in fact doing right now, which could really be one of the biggest 180s I've ever actually seen in the gaming space. According to Gaming Bolt, Microsoft Gaming's new CEO might revamp Game Pass subscription prices, as a rumor. Now, this right here could be one of the biggest 180s we've ever seen in the gaming space right now. The Game Pass price increase was one of the absolute worst things to see and literally ruined the entire idea of having Game Pass as a valuable contributor for a subscription-based model. Doubling the price to $30 from $15 made absolutely no sense whatsoever, and clearly they had zero idea on how to approach this at all, trying to nickel and dime its users. The thing is though, this does come with some specific caveats though, because it turns out that Microsoft may be doing a lot more, not just for you as a user, but also maybe tipping their hand a bit too much at the kind of plan they want to produce for Game Pass and their services moving forward. Let's check out the article from Gaming Bolt though, and see what they had to say. With the article saying this: while there have been many fears in the gaming community about Asha Sharma's appointment as the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, one report indicates that the new boss might have goals to make gaming services more affordable. According to the information, Sharma has ambitions that revolve around making future consoles and products like Game Pass more enticing to a broader range of customers. This means that she might also want to, quote, offer lower priced tiers. Interestingly, the report had also indicated that Sharma had been in talks with Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters about a potential partnership between the streaming giant and Xbox. This partnership would apparently involve subscription bundles, with Peters saying, quote, you would have to do it in a way that works for the consumer and works for both companies. And frankly, I think Microsoft's still trying to figure out how to make Game Pass bundle work for Microsoft, said Peters. But what I like about Asha's thinking is it's all about how do we do more, and it's already been exciting to watch. And this is where things are going to get incredibly sticky. Microsoft is on a knife's edge right now, dancing along the blade. And the thing is, one false move could send everything teetering in the wrong direction. If Asha Sharma wants to actually properly provide people with good value for Game Pass, she can't do it the way it's being done right now. And here's my deal. I expect 100% that Microsoft will offer a free tier of Game Pass, while that is ad-supported and then also timed as well. Just like how we saw Nvidia do it with GeForce Now, counting the actual minutes before you go ahead and get to play and then charging you more through it, or having to go and sit through a bunch of ads in the middle of your game time. That would not be a good experience at all whatsoever. The best thing that they can do is literally go around and say, you know what, we're knocking it back down to $15. You're getting all this stuff here, and then a combination package with either Netflix or everything else for about $24.99. That would be the ideal situation. The problem though is Xbox previously was not offering any value or respect to the customer and trying to nickel and dime them and force them to paying more without providing any value. And that's the real kicker about this entire thing. PlayStation is not offering value with dynamic rate pricing. Nintendo looks like it's offering value, but what they're instead trying to do is to coerce you into digital only and forcing you down that road. Xbox, on the other hand, could truly provide the right way of not only having digital value, but also providing better experiences for the user. The thing is though, for me, the Netflix collaboration doesn't seem like it would honestly work out. Personally, I would really like to see Game Pass at the $14.99 tier or even $24.99 tier and have the World of Warcraft sub included into that, or any other major sub that they're working with to get that as a collection. That would be actual value. That would be real ideas for people wanting to sub to Game Pass and then putting all those things together. Oh, I get a WoW sub, I get Game Pass, and I get all these games as well. That seems like a good idea. Putting it with Netflix could be a possibility, I guess, if you're looking to everything going into streaming. But the thing is, it doesn't seem like it would be a good fit overall, even though Netflix does have games on their actual app. So I guess that might work in some weird way. I'm not entirely sure. But again, the problem isn't the fact that they're trying to add lower tiers or that they're rumored to add lower tiers. It's how they execute this, and it could fall into the wrong way completely. If Xbox doesn't combine this correctly or actually give the user who's spending less money better value for their time, it's not going to make any sense to sign up for that program regardless of how much you're paying, because you're either going to be paying with your wallet or with your time. And if it's too much on either one, people simply just won't do it. With Paris Lily on Twitter saying this: Xbox needs to bring back the value part of the best value in gaming. When Game Pass Ultimate hit $30 per month, it stopped being a no-brainer and instead became a service that only people who consume multiple games per month/year would find value. If Xbox wants Game Pass to grow, simplify the tiers across console and PC and make it more affordable for families and approachable for gamers who want options to discover new games but don't have unlimited time. And Paris is totally right. There is no value in Game Pass right now. Hell, I would dare say there's no value in gaming right now unless you're specifically playing on PC or on your Steam Deck and trying to find that value directly and going with Valve or even something like GOG as well. These companies do not understand what value truly is to a customer and consumer, and trying to abuse these users and trying to go ahead and pry open their wallets is not the proper way of doing it. Dynamic pricing, variable rate pricing, trying to minimize the actual impact of digital games and then lowering that by $10, or even in fact raising the price of Game Pass doesn't help anything at all. But I am in fact incredibly tepid and waiting to see what in fact actually happens. Are they going to abuse users with their time and shove copious amounts of ads in their face on a free tier? Are they going to keep day one Xbox games on other tiers as well? Or are they going to admit they were wrong and bite the bullet and just reduce the price back down to what it in fact was before to increase the amount of users inside of that subservice? I want to see what else happens in the future of this, because like I said before, watching PlayStation and Nintendo literally try and trick users to spending more money is not a good sign overall. And if Microsoft can pull this off, we could in fact have a proper competitor in this space, giving better value, making it trickle down to other places like PlayStation and Nintendo as well, hopefully stopping them from making bad decisions and impacting you as a customer. If only everybody took the page out of Valve's playbook and literally gave everybody the right price with the right value and put the customer first, we wouldn't even be in this mess now, would we? Really makes you think. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comments section down below. Do you think Microsoft can in fact pull this off? Do you think Nintendo is actually trying to lower their prices? And do you think PlayStation is, of course, being as greedy as possible? I want to hear what you guys have to say. And speaking about what you have to say, here in fact is the comment of the day from yesterday's video, with Matthew Hardwick 8208 saying this: Steam just watches everyone else fail over and over again. That must be a fun time to be working there right now. Yeah, I gotta admit, it really is kind of insane watching every other company not look at what Valve does and completely do the opposite and think it's going to work. But as always, if you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and live streams, subscribe to the channel. If you want even more access though, like Discord access or emotes during those live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. Look, if you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just show up every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on this channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted by about 800 people with TTS. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. You don't want to miss it. Live Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!